everything's been a learning opportunity, and partly because I was an adult learner and finished my bachelor's and master's degrees as a working adult, like it kind of turned me into this like permanent lifelong learner. So like everything is like, oh, I can learn from this. And so I like challenges, and I like learning from working on challenges, and if there are failures, I typically look at them as opportunities to not do those things again. So it's hard to regret any of that on the business side, because it's all been instructive. And we have been successful. I mean, we've grown a lot in a very short period of time, and that's exciting.
Is there anything that you'd recommend to us as potential future entrepreneurs?
Never think that it's too late to do it, because I didn't start doing this until I was 35. When I was, how old are y'all in this room? Like
Junior, senior.
Junior, senior? Yeah. You're my daughter's age. Like my daughter, she finished high school a year early and then went to college. So she's 17, but she's a freshman in college. And when I was that age, when I was your age, like I had no idea what I wanted to do. Like I didn't ever think that I would be kind of like an entrepreneur, business person. My dad was a fairly successful corporate IT manager, director, and eventually became a VP. So I do have examples in my own family of people who have had success in business. So it was kind of easy to see that. But I didn't really envision that for myself. I was like, well, I know I don't want to work in an office my whole adult life like my dad did. But beyond that, it's like, I don't know. So like, I became a computer programmer, and I did that for a while, and I was like, well, I'm okay at this, and it pays really well, but I don't really like it. And then I kind of wandered around for a while. So yeah, I've told my daughter the same thing. Like she started, so it's her freshman year, her second semester, and she started a biology pre-med program. So like if she follows that all the way through, she's going to be a doctor. That's a lot of work, and that's an intense education and professional training experience. And when she went in, I'm like, if you decide not to go through with this, like, that's fine, because I can't speak. If I were to tell you that, I'd have no integrity, because like, since my daughter was 4, she watched me change my mind, like, every 3 years. But she's also seen me finally land on something that I'm really passionate about. It just took a long time. So I don't believe in like linear stories, and so like life is usually more kind of like this. You're not always going forward, sometimes you're going backwards. You're not always going up, sometimes you're going down, and the journey can be really meandering. So that's my advice. Like, don't beat yourself up if you don't have a clear idea and vision about where you're heading, because
at this age, a lot of us don't.
Yeah. Yep.
Especially,
And I certainly didn't. Yep.
especially when we're starting to get that pressure on us. So like, okay, what college are you gonna go to?
Yeah.
You
Yep.
start looking at that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not necessarily the kind of guy who's like, college is for everybody always, but I had kind of like a 2-stage college experience. Like I got a 2-year degree out of high school at a community college, and like that was fine. And then I decided, like, well, okay, now I'll finish my bachelor's when I'm in my mid-20s, and I did. And I was not a good student in high school, or even the first time I went to college. Like I was a C's, D's, and sometimes F's student in high school. I was not high on the list of in my teachers' minds of kids that were going to go on and do great things. Like I got in trouble a lot. So, but mostly I was just like restless and easily distracted, and didn't really have I wasn't.
You didn't have a drive.
Yeah, not a drive for school. I had a drive for other stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, by the time I finished my bachelor's, like I had really fallen in love with the academic exercise, and then carried that on through grad school. Because I went right from finishing my bachelor's when I was 28, right into grad school for 4 years, and I was one of the top students in my class, and I really loved it. And I loved it so much, I thought that might be my profession, like I'd go on and get a PhD and then work in schools. But by the time I was done with grad school, I was so sick of reading and writing papers that I didn't want to do that anymore, so. Yeah, it's, so learning, like, you can learn a lot outside of school, but school, college, is also really good for, like, just training you to think.
And that's where you think that you benefit from it?
Yeah.
Because obviously, from what I've heard from you, is that it's a lot of who you knew to get to places, or at least in the beginning,
Yeah,
to get around and grow your business, instead
Yeah.
of what you knew.
right, right. And I I tend to be a team player, networking kind of guy, so like I'm not a lone wolf entrepreneur, that's just not who I am. So yeah, like from the get-go, I was like, okay, I just started this business, now I'm gonna start going to these entrepreneur networking meetings in Cedar Rapids, and it was just like, and that led to like actual new business that
Is
was
this
beneficial.
you guys know each other? Is from those?
I
We
just
saw
met
each other
Brian.
from
Yeah,
1 Million Cups.
yeah, 1 million cups.
Mm.
Yep.
David Tominski's a mutual friend of ours too.
Okay, yeah, David's awesome. So yeah, I mean, networking and understanding the power of networks and understanding what your own limitations are and supplementing those limitations by working with other people who are good at it. Like, I hate accounting, so I work with an accountant. Like, so I don't have to do the books, and that works out great. So yeah, so using a kind of a team building approach, even if it's not a team that's like a team within, like, I don't have any employees, like I'm the employee, but I have a team. Like, I work with the Brahimi owners, I have the, my lawyer, my accountant, like, we're all working together to help grow this thing, and that's really important.
Right, awesome.
Anybody else have questions?
I do. So, like, for like choosing the price of your coffee,
Mm-hmm.
did you compare it with other people's
Yeah.
prices or?
Yep, and I do that continually. I was just doing it again last week. So, because I'd never run a business where it was like a production and sales kind of thing, like, I'd never had to like put together my costs and then take those and then set product pricing based off of those costs. So when I started, I wasn't paying much attention to my costs, and I was actually just looking at what market equivalents were. I was finding coffee roasters who were selling the same kind of product as I was and saying, okay, well, they're charging about this much for this size of a bag, so I'm gonna charge about that same thing. Now I'm a lot better at understanding what my costs are and then using those costs to build product pricing models. Because I sell direct consumer on my website, but I also sell to like large volume wholesale accounts where I'm charging less per unit than I charge somebody who's buying off my website. Like, I have to be able to do that. I say, here's my costs, here's what my profit margins are for wholesale business, here's what my profit margins are and retail prices are for end customers. So now I kind of come at it from that way, but I still go and look at the competitors and say, all right, I'm still, I'm in the ballpark with other roasters who are doing similar. And it helps if you like spreadsheets. I do like spreadsheets, and I get a geek out a lot with spreadsheets on my for product pricing. There's one spreadsheet I've slowly evolved over 4 years. I've been using. There are pieces of it that I've stopped using and taken out because I have other software that does similar things now, but like there's a piece of that original spreadsheet that I still use pretty regularly, and product pricing is one.
This is what people keep telling me, is there like
If you're good at Excel, you'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what people keep telling me whenever I ask.
Yeah.
Like, what should I do now? And then
Right.
they're like, just get good at Excel.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. It doesn't matter what you're gonna do. Like, you're gonna use that.
yeah. Yeah, it is, so I'm a big Google guy, so, and everything I use is in the cloud, and, so I'm mostly on Google spreadsheets, but there are times when I do have to like bring something down to Excel to do some really nitty gritty, spreadsheet work that only Excel can do well. And I would say also that my background in IT has been a huge help, because it's meant that I haven't had to pay software to like web developers as much money as I probably would have had to if I didn't know, you know, kind of the technical side. You know, starting and running a website, like that's easy for me to do because that was part of, you know, what I did.
And that's really important too, because the website is your store.
Yeah, I mean, it's my retail presence, because I don't have a physical storefront. I mean, I do, but, you know, it's in a really small town.
Yeah.
So relative to the size of my customer base, like that physical storefront isn't really important. My online storefront is very important. So being able to be on top of that and not have to pay people a lot of money to manage it for me, obviously saves me a lot of money. But then also understanding how to put together the software systems that help me run the business. Because when I transitioned from a hobbyist into a business and started getting order volumes that were pretty intense every week, my little spreadsheet was starting to like break. And I was
Yeah.
gonna start screwing stuff up because the scale of what I was dealing with wasn't fit for the little spreadsheet I had. So being able to go out and say, okay, this piece of software is gonna help do this and not, you know, have me screw things up. So I'm gonna go pay a monthly fee for this, and it does this, it hooks into my website, you know, it hooks into online payment processing, it hooks into my shipping platform. So being able to understand how the different software platforms fit together and are able to feed each other to run my business from ordering through production and shipping is, that's also really helpful. If I didn't understand how all that worked, I'd probably make a lot more mistakes. I probably wouldn't have been able to grow quite as fast. So even if you don't go get like a full-blown technology degree, like understanding software is just, I think, it's helpful for everybody doing anything with their professional careers.
You may have already answered this before we started, but where do you buy most of your beans from?
Yeah, so I work with, there's an importer based out of Minneapolis called Cafe Imports, and they're a specialty coffee importer. So specialty coffee is like the top 5% quality grade of all coffees in the world. So that's all they buy, is the really, really good stuff, and that's all I buy from them is really high grade coffees. So I've also had a direct trade relationship with a Nicaraguan producer for the entire time that I've been in business. And I actually bought coffee from him before I bought from Cafe Imports. So that is an important trade model for me. It's a closer relationship with the producer. Because you're taking a middleman out of the supply chain, I'm paying as much or more per pound to that direct trade producer as I am my importer. But because that importer is taken out of the picture, that means that much more money is going to producers in what are almost entirely impoverished countries. That's unfortunately the way the world is structured right now, is like where all the coffee is grown, almost all those countries are poor. So if I can spend as much money on still really good coffee and have less of it taken out in the supply chain and more of it gets to actual producers and farming families, then that's really good.
That's awesome.
I can also tell a more compelling story because, like, my wife and daughter and I, on Saturday morning, are flying to Nicaragua. Like, we're gonna be, next week, we're gonna be in Nicaragua for the whole week. So I'll be able to meet the actual farmers who grew the
That's
coffee that I've
awesome.
been buying for the past 3 years. So, you know, that's really important. Specialty coffee roasters usually like to tell those origin stories because we're in a market where customers really care about that kind of thing. I care about it personally, from the coffee that I buy from roasters other than myself, and I care about being that kind of roaster as well. Like, I have genuine trade relationships with the producers, and you know, so that's kind of like an integrity and ethics thing that's really important to me. And I just added a second direct trade partnership with a producer in Papua New Guinea, which is like just north of Australia. So that one's, probably won't visit there for a while. Maybe when we're doing like $1 to $2 million a year in sales, I could probably afford to go there, but Nicaragua's a little bit easier to get to.
That's super cool.
So, one last question from me. What would you recommend that we do now to be successful in the future?
I think it's important to just be naturally curious about the world and be passionate about your place in the world and trying to find something that gives you joy but also has deep purpose and meaning, both for you personally but also for your community, your world, and what that actually looks like in practice. Like, that can go all sorts of different places, but for me it's more of like cultivating kind of a deep set attitude within yourself that you care about the world, you care about doing good, and not generating success only for yourself. Like, it's okay to be successful, but it's also important to be like giving and charitable, and be smart. Like, the fact that I'm an intelligent person has really, really helped. So, so be smart and be nice.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Last chance. No mas. All right. Cool.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And I